It's always just like bits and parts, so it's like you can skip a lot,
Yeah.
but when you actually go through it, it's like, damn, I've been through a lot.
There are a lot, yeah.
Hi, my name is Warren Sithari, aka my mother's last and favorite child. So I actually had my camera, I don't know if you saw. To the brought to you by Guyash.
Yeah. Go.
But not on me right now. Do you want me to go get
Yeah.
it? Ready? Hi, my name is Warren Sithari, aka Ralphi Warren, aka Big Daddy Wawa, aka my mother's last and favorite child. This is my journey to being a content creator, brought to you by Guyash Media. My name's Warren Sithari. My mom knows me as Depoor, but the streets know me as Ralphie. I'm a human being, I'm a handsome individual. How did my content creation journey start? I was just a young person who just liked to take pictures, and then people were like, you take really nice pictures. And then I went by the moniker of I'm a nice guy with a nice camera that takes nice pictures. And then that introduced me to a whole bunch of different people, different spaces. And then over time, I guess I've developed a passion for visual arts. So not just photography, cinematography, and there's just weird little visual things that I make, from stills to moving visuals. And I think, just to give you a quick summary, I'm a nice guy with a nice camera that takes nice pictures, and this is where we are now. Well, just to elaborate on that, so I believe a content creator is anyone that can create content, like anything, whether it be digital content, visual content, textual content, just anything. If you can create it and it's original, you are a content creator. But I think there's artists that create the content from scratch, and then there's content creators that are able to manipulate the art and package it in such a way that it's digestible. So if we can just use those two divisions, there's the artists and then there's the distributors. I think I'd fall under an artist because I engage with the person. I take the photo, I edit the photo, I take it through from primary to tertiary process. And then there's other people that are able to take my visuals and get it to a mass audience, which I think a Guyash Media would be, where maybe they would be able to repackage it in such a way that it's more digestible than my particular audience. I hope that answers your question. So by education, I'm a public relations practitioner. That's what I studied and I graduated for. By employment, I was a CSC consultant at a well-known bank. And I did that. I did the whole corporate thing for a while. It was cool, made a bit of money. It didn't really mesh with me. I don't think it was a personality fit. To just summarize, I was very depressed doing the corporate thing. Like I said, the money was good, but I just didn't find any joy in that. After doing the corporate thing, I decided that I'm fully going to be a visual content creator. I don't want to keep myself in a box of photographer or anything, because like I said, I do a few things. But I signed the contract with myself to say, hey, I'm going to be a digital content creator, and that's currently what I'm doing. How that journey from studying public relations to working in a bank to now becoming this person, it's taught me a lot. When I was studying, the PR aspect helped me engage with people. It helped me speak to people in the sense of always have something to offer, and you don't always have to bring money to the table. And I think that's a key learning point for anyone that's doing public relations, where you don't have to offer someone money, but you can be like, I can get you this kind of placement, I can get you this, I can do this for you. And the reciprocal relationship, I learned that from PR. And then I got a job, and then I got very humbled, because it was the mundane 9 to 5 back and forth of, hey, you have a process, you have an input and you have an output, and results are expected, which was also an amazing learning curve, because prior to that, I was just a creative spirit. But going through that work process, it taught me input, output, process, result, done. Which I've then now taken back after leaving that job, and I can talk to people, I can engage in the process, I know what the input is, I know what the output is, and there's a particular result that I want to get out of it, and there's a particular result that the client or whomever I'm creating the content wants to get out of it. And I think that link from creative to professional back to creative professional has served me really well in terms of creating the content, the brand, and the person that I want to be going forward. So my first camera was a birthday present. I really wanted one. I asked for one at home and they were like, okay, here. It wasn't the best camera. It was a Sony HD HX or 500. So it's not a DSLR where you can remove the lens like it's built in, but it had a really big zoom lens. So I don't know if anybody here is one of my followers or fans or whatever people call themselves now. But if you go back, most of my pictures are portraits and they're very zoomed in, but it was because I only had that lens and it created a certain type of craft. So I fell in love with engaging with people. Like I said, the PR aspect of speaking to people like, hey, how are you doing? This is my process. And then the camera was more a vehicle to engage with people and like just get over my shyness. It was like, hey, this is me, this is what I do, and this is the value I can add, as opposed to I'm just this random individual trying to bother you and whatnot. With that journey, I started engaging with people. I spent a lot of time on the streets of Braamfontein just engaging with people. I used to lie to people. I used to, like, me and my friend have a vlog. I just need to take a picture and like I'll get in contact with you. But really it was just so I could take the pictures and then have like a client base and get people to engage with me and be like, okay, I'll follow you. This is how you get the picture. But there was never a vlog. And I'm sure somebody's going to watch this and be like, yeah, I remember that. But the engagement process, being able to speak to people, getting over my own shyness, and I fell in love with that process and the back and forth. And then suddenly I started to take nice pictures. Suddenly the process of taking pictures got easier, and then that came as a secondary situation. I like people. I'm very much people orientated, like faces, emotions. Like a photo shoot with me, it's like we're gonna talk, we're gonna have a conversation. I want to find out who are you, what are you gonna use these pictures for, and then we can build something around that. But I find that like a mug can't talk to you, you know, like a car can't talk to you. A human, you can then build a story around that. And then it also helps me when I post my own personal content on my page with like the captions and stuff, because there's the visual representation and then there's the underlying story that me and that person created throughout that day. So I'd say like people emotive kind of content. Like I want to be able to speak to you, create a story around you and what you're trying to represent in that moment, and then we can express it to other people. To be honest, for me, it's discovering people's stories, engaging with people, getting a different perspective whilst having my own perspective. Just hearing the human experience from multiple different people and then being able to give my interpretation and my spin and deliver it to someone else that might get that understanding or not. But then the visual gives you like the context, and then the written is my interpretation of it. So I like to use Nikon. This is a 33D with a VR lens. Like I said earlier in the other question, when I started it was a Sony camera, wasn't a DSLR, but it took the pictures and I developed the skill. The Sony got stolen, I think about a year later, and then that took me off my path for a bit, and then I started shooting off my phone. And that was a different experience because I learned that it's actually easier to shoot off your phone because it takes you straight to the editing app, and then from the editing app, you can take it straight to Instagram, and publishing of content is much quicker. So I went through a phase where essentially it was just my phone. And then I got tired of that and just the limitations that had. And I started to take myself a bit more seriously because I was hanging out with rappers. They don't have any content out right now, unfortunately. But at the time, they were... No, but honestly, like at the time, like they had the dream, they sold me the dream. I was like, hey, like let's do this. So I invested in a camera. I went to Cash Crusaders Randburg. I spent a little bit of money there. I think it was about 2,500 Rand. I got myself my first Nikon, which was a 31D. It came with 2 lenses, which was a steal at the time. And then did my thing. Didn't really invest in myself, didn't buy any new equipment. It just really had the camera, did the normal thing. That's the point when I started to tell people like I have a bit of a business, because I had the professional camera. It's much easier to say I can take pictures of you with the professional camera than it is with like a cell phone, even though the pictures are generally the same because it's the same person. So then that started to pick up, and then my portfolio started to get better because obviously with the better camera. And then I think after that camera I started working, and then I put that on pause. I went through a bit of a rough patch and I sold my camera. Not because I needed the money, I just really wasn't using it, and there was other reasons I could use the money for, and I really wasn't inspired or anything. Closer to quitting or not renewing my contract, because I didn't quit and I wasn't fired, but I chose not to renew my contract at my previous work. I bought a Canon camera, and that was one of my struggles where I didn't know what I was doing. It didn't look the way that it looked. It really did change up my work and my content and just the way that it was out there. So that also added to my uninspiration. So I had that for like about 3 months, and then I gave that away. I left my job. Money wasn't coming in. Fortunately, to the people upstairs, I got an opportunity to go on tour with SDC on the merch team. One of my friends was doing the merchandising, and they were like, hey, come along as one of our videographers and stuff. And like I was in a bad place. I just left my job. This sounded like the world's best opportunity. Bought a camera, Nikon 3100D VR lens, actually from Cash Converters, Ralphi Park. It's amazing, right? All these cameras are just sitting there. Got the camera for the gig. Was very much inspired because it was the only thing that I knew how to do. I didn't want to go back to the bank. Did that, shot a few things. It's on my content page. And that experience gave me a different perspective outside of like the street photography stuff. And I had to learn very quickly, just based on the amount of pictures you take on an event type shoot, as opposed to a street photographer where it's just one-on-one, and I can create the story, and we can do all this content. With events, there is no story, there is no one-on-one, there is no personal content creation. It's just, how do I make all this look so exciting that someone else wants to be there? And I struggled with that for like the first 2 weeks of the tour dates, because I just wanted to pick pictures of people's faces, just individuals. And the guy that was doing the tour came to me and he was like, hey dude, like, this is great, but it's not going to get you where you need to be. Like, this is what you need to do. And I'm forever grateful for that conversation, because it opened my eyes. It was like, yes, you're great. Yes, you're talented. Yes, you have a very decent perspective on things, but there's the rest of the world. And you kind of have to look at the bigger picture to then take your picture and be like, what's happening around you? So just the mind shift was then another challenge that I had to get over, where it was like, you have your brand of content, but what's the brand of content that's going to feed you going forward? What's the brand of content that this particular person needs right now? What's the brand of content that you can actually shoot and make sense? So I got through that. Then COVID hit, another rough patch. This time I actually needed the money, so that camera went. And then I went through a patch where there was no inspiration, no equipment, but the passion was there, because like I just still shoot with my phone and stuff, but it was like, it was more just for my own personal sake. Did that for a bit, and then midway through COVID, I hit a lucky break where I spoke to my mom and I was like, hey dude, it's bad right now. I don't necessarily need money, I just need you to pay my bills. She paid my bills. I was sitting on 0.0000000 everything as opposed to negative everything. And then I was like, I have nothing, literally. What is the one thing that I know how to do really well? Invested in a camera, got this bad boy, 3300 Nikon, for real. And then I got myself a speed light to help with like flash and like all the times I had a bad pictures because the lighting was bad. So I got this thing, and ever since then I haven't looked back. I got a tripod, I got a GoPro, I got 2 other action cameras just for like different perspective. I got a new laptop with a bit more space, invested in a 4 terabyte hard drive. So it's just like I went through all these things with like the minimum amount of equipment to build the passion, and then when I had nothing, the passion helped me get the equipment because it was like, hey, you literally have nothing, like do something now. How can we cut the makeup? So my journey to being a content creator has been an eventful one. Like I said, my brand of content creation is very people orientated. So it's always been about like, who can I meet? Who do I want to meet? Who wants to meet me? And like, what experience can I get from that? And I think like it's been very eventful. Like I've gotten to meet the most important people and some no-name people that I feel are the most important people in the world. And I've created a lot of friends, I've created a lot of family. I've been in a lot of places, I've been in a lot of rooms. So I think my journey of content creation has gained me the access into the rooms and spaces and faces that I've always wanted to meet, and I hope it carries on. I hope it carries that forward so I can meet more people, get in more rooms, meet more faces, and create more content. And yeah, that's all I really want out of it, to be honest.